Well, another busy day for sure. We are picking our carrots, celery, peppers, and I don't want to be placing them all in the freezer, but I do want them to last for the winter. Some I will freeze, of course, but I was thinking when I start a lot of stocks, a lot of sauces, it's a mirepoix start. So what do we do the mirepoix now? Can it, and then it's an easy open and dump start to any meal for the winter. I'd like to share our bounty. I'm gonna have to get these washed up, especially the carrots, because they're not looking very good. I picked them a few days back and now they're wilting. So how about we get those in there? I'm gonna soak them with some cold water. And that way they'll be nice and crisp. And celery, of course, is always quite dirty. So we are going to make sure that we wash it well before dicing and slicing. And what I'm actually thinking of doing is I might do some batches of just celery for those meals that require it, that I won't need a mirepoix. And let me walk you over to my messy island. I've got a bunch of garlic that is from last year that's not looking great. I'm going to dehydrate that for our garlic powder for this year. And then we have our peppers. The jalapenos, I always do some hot pickled jalapenos for sandwiches and for like sausage on a bun. And then of course the onions. So what I'm going to do is the mirepoix, which is basically a celery, onion, and carrot. In mine, I always add garlic, so I'll add some garlic into those. And then I will also do Trinity, where instead of celery, I'll use some peppers. I don't have green peppers, so I'll be using the yellows. And then a sofrito, which is the onions, the garlic, the peppers, and possibly some tomatoes. So I'm gonna have some ready to go items in the pantry. Our adventure starts with the cleanup. First, what we're gonna do is clean our celery. And you know how it gets really dirty in these edges as it grows out of the ground? I soak them, rinse them well, and then I cut that part off. This is going to be for our mirepoix. As you can see, I've already trimmed off the top because I had made a bunch of duck stock. But this here is not garbage. Chickens don't like it. The rabbits kind of like it, but what we're going to do is use this for stock. All these parts here are perfect for stock. When I get to the carrots, same thing. I'm gonna cut off the tops. Stock. Tips, stock. These have all been really well washed. Don't even peel them. Just make sure that there is no dirt in them. We are zero waste, so anytime we can save, we do. These are going to be my mirepoix starts, my stock bucket, and we've got a lot to do. I can actually show you the onion, just so that you see how that works. Take off the tip. Guess what? Stock. Tip. Stock, including the peel. Actually, the peel gives it a beautiful color. And excuse the dog that barks at anything that moves. That is Jersey. And that's going to be for a mirepoix. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to do things in batches. So first I'll do all the celery. And I'll just cut those into the food processor. I am using my small one. However, I should be using my KitchenAid. It's down in the outdoor kitchen, and we had our youngest dog, Heidi, spayed yesterday. So I am staying close to her in the house. So I am actually going to be working on this, and I'm nearby in case she needs me. So it's small food processor, it is. And it works just fine. It's just a matter of, I could do it in a couple of batches where I'll have to do a few. And we improvise as we need to. This is life. This is real life, like I always say. We're not faking anything. I don't want to overfill it, but that's a good amount. Where is my lid? I'm just going to get this on the food processor. Let me bring you over with me. There you go. I just want you to see the consistency that I'm going to get you at. Get it at. Not you. I'm not mincing you. I'm mincing the celery. So I am not looking for much. I'm looking for a fine dice. This is perfect. See that? This is how I start all my sauces, is with this fine dice of celery. So this is perfect. Let me bring it back to the other side. And I'm just putting everything into this container. And then I'll access it as I prepare different things. I use my hands a lot because I make sure I clean them ahead of time, and then they become the best utensils. Let's get the celery done. There won't be much to do here. Now moving on to the carrots. Again, saving these for stock, trims, and then I just give them small slices so that it's just easier to blend down. Remember, I'm just doing a very fine dice, not mush and not big chunks. That one's for the dog. By the way, our dogs are vegetarians. They love to steal our vegetables. I already hear one munching. I don't want to overfill when it's the carrots because they are a little harder to get through. And this is what we're looking for. That small, thin, tiny dice. Put that into a container as well. Get these done. A lot of stuff minced up. I'm running out of containers, so I will just do portions of it to show you how it's done. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pack this up in 1 cup jars, which are 250 milliliter, and 500 milliliters, which is 2 cup jars. Because different recipes, I would use different amounts of mirepoix, so I like to be prepared for either. Now, what I like to do is I do 1/4 of the carrots. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe I should move things over so you can see a little bit better. And again, this is what I do. It's not that this is an approved method of doing anything. I'm just sharing how I do it. So 1/4 of carrot, 1/4 of celery, and half of onion. I use more onion than I do the celery and carrot. Now I'm leaving a 1/2 inch space. I am not adding salt to this. When I use this, what I'm going to do is drain the water out, but save it. See, that's how it looks. Save the water, and then I saute in olive oil the vegetables. And once I have gotten a little bit of a brown on it, then I add that liquid back. So I'm not losing anything. Now, as you can see, I just topped it up with water. I am going to debubble. Wasn't prepared for that, sorry. So I'm going to debubble, which means taking the air pockets out of the jar. I'm going to top that up a little bit again. I just noticed it's kind of dark in here. I think I'm going to need to turn on another light. Don't know if that helped much, but there you go. So I'm going to top that off. And I'm going to pressure can these at 10 pounds of pressure for 40 minutes. When I go to use these, I open them up, drain the liquid, save it, saute the vegetables, add the liquid back in once the vegetables are browning, and that's the start of my sauce, my soup, whatever. I'm just going to do a few more so that you see my process again. Quarter of the jar of carrots. And I'm not measuring because truly there's no reason for preciseness. Celery. Now I started this yesterday and then got stuff going, so I needed to stop. So there is a little bit of the celery juice that has come out of it at the bottom. Well, I'm just including that in my jars. I'm not losing any of these vegetables. And then my onion, half the jar of onion. Leaving 1 inch headspace. Let me show you that 1 inch headspace. 1 inch is always, or 1/2 inch, not 1 inch. 1/2 inch is always that bottom ring of every jar. And then top it up with water. I'm not putting in hot water. It's just out of my kettle. Because the vegetables are cold, the liquid's cold, I'll put it into the canner cold and bring up the temperature to everything at the same time. So here we go. This is not a pickle, remember that. So I'm just going to basically be preserving vegetables the way I would any other vegetable and for later use. This is a great way to pack our celery when it's at, like right now it's freshness out of the garden. If you're getting them at the grocery store, you can do the same thing because the cost of celery in the summer is a whole lot cheaper than the cost of celery in the middle of winter or around the holidays. It always kills me how grocery stores will charge a fortune for celery around Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's like they prey on people. Oh, you need it for your recipe, so let's jack up the price. It's immoral. I can't understand how that is even allowed. Price gouging, big time. And like I said, we like to be prepared. So prepared is just planning to get your vegetables, your meats when they're at bumper crop, and then using them throughout the year. See how easy this is? Anybody can do this. You can do this. Like I said, we have stuff on our property, but you can get this at farmers markets. You can get it at the grocery store. If you're getting at the grocery store, of course, organic's always best. But if you're just getting something, you can't afford an organic, hey, don't feel bad about that. You do what you can do. So what you do is get it home and wash it with a vegetable soap and get any chemicals off of it. You do the best you can do with what you got. So these are, like I said, going in the pressure canner, 10 pounds of pressure for my area, and it will be for 40 minutes and the jars will seal. I'm down canning now, and I thought I should clarify everything just to make sure that there's no miscommunication. The mirepoix is a low acid food, so it is not recognized as something that should be canned. I'm not adding any vinegar, so there is no guidelines anywhere that I found, but I've treated it the same as vegetables. I'm doing 40 minutes, 10 pounds of pressure. That's what I'm doing. I'm not telling you to do it this way, and not giving you instructions. So let's be very clear about that. But what I am doing, as you see here, is I am canning. I am letting my canner steam for 10 minutes. And then once it has steamed for 10 minutes, I will put on the gauge. And at that point, when it reaches 10 pounds of pressure, because that's my area, I will then start timing for 40 minutes. You can do the water bath method if you are a rebel canner, which I am, but I'm doing this in a pressure canner today. I feel more comfortable. But if you were to do it in a water bath, what you would do is wait until you're at a roaring boil, not a simmer, not a chatter, but a roaring boil. Once it hits that point, then you would time it for 3 hours. That would be a water bath canning method, which is a rebel canning method and not an approved method. I do water bath canning all the time. And when I choose if I am doing pressure canning or water bath canning, it's usually by space. I could fit more jars in my water bath canner, so that's when I will use that. I have my Presto canner here, which I'm using today. And then I have my All-American down here that I use when I have bigger batches for canning. Since I'm doing this as a canning method, I always stay close by my canner to make sure that I'm watching the gauges, making sure that nothing goes astray. Canning is something that you should treat carefully and observe all the rules. So, of course, I've got to do something with my time, and I don't waste time. I don't have time to waste. So I have these humongous zucchinis, and what I think I'm going to do is while I'm down here, I'm going to shred them. Now, I have had people ask me in the past why I use the KitchenAid shredder rather than my food processor. And I find that when I'm shredding, the food processor tends to make things a little bit waterier. But the other thing is, here you go, see that? Nice consistency. The other thing is I can fill up this whole tote without any issue. Where a food processor, I'm constantly dumping the container. So this to me works better. And I really like this apparatus for cheese, for vegetables. I will actually link it in the description box in case you're interested in getting one. And they're easy to clean. The only drawback is this is not dishwasher safe. So you do need to wash that by hand. But the other parts, such as the shredder itself, is dishwasher safe. There's a skin that didn't go through for the ducks. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you while I shred up all this zucchini. I'll show you when I'm done, just out of curiosity. And of course, remember, I'm doing this while I am canning. And let me go over here because my canner is now going. It's at the appropriate pressure. So I'm going to lower the flame a bit. And now I am starting my timer for 40 minutes. Our pressure is back down to 0 after the 40 minutes and shutting off the flame. So I can remove the pressure gauge and open up the canner. Opening it slowly. You don't want to create any thermal shock. So I always lift it up and you see the steam coming out of there. Give it a little bit of time before taking off the lid completely. I'm going to wait about 5 minutes and then come back to it and remove some jars for you. So here we go. Our mire poix is canned. I'm going to just take one jar out of there gently. I always place it on a cloth to avoid any thermal shock. And there you go. The mire poix, the colors don't look great, but all the flavors in there. So when I go to use it, I'm going to drain off the liquid, saute the vegetables, and once they're started to brown, then I will add the liquid back in. That means all the flavor will be there. Well, I ended up with quite a batch. That's one layer, and then I have another layer underneath. I've done 2 tiers. This is my Presto 23 liter. So I have got 8, 9, 10 500 mil and 7 250 mils. Not bad. And yes, that's correct. I did reuse a lid. I find that if I'm canning, I'm able to reuse decent lids. And I always check for the seal after I'm done. Now, once these jars do cool off, I will take off the metal band. Ensure that it is stuck. I will lift. And then I will place them in the pantry, but without the band. And that, my friends, is how I preserve mire poix for during the winter. If you like this type of content, please like, subscribe, and set up a notification so you know when I'm doing something different. But please, most of all, share with your friends. And eat well, live your best life.